All right, picture this. You're scrolling through social media, right? You just meant to quickly check one thing, a notification maybe, and then bang, 45 minutes, just gone, vanished into like the digital ether.
Oh, I know that feeling way too well. Happens all the time.
Or, okay, maybe you're trying really hard to stick to a new, healthier eating plan. You're doing great.
Yeah.
But then suddenly you find yourself reaching for that old, comforting snack, the one,
Yeah.
and you didn't even really think about it.
Nope. Just happens. Automatic.
Exactly. Or maybe you've been practicing like a new way to respond when you get stressed.
Yeah.
You got a plan,
Okay.
but then the pressure hits and you just blurt out the exact same familiar phrase you promised yourself you wouldn't.
Yeah, that moment.
And that little internal voice instantly whispers, oh no, here we go again. That flicker of immediate regret, that's your mind catching itself.
Catching itself running on autopilot.
Precisely. We've all been there, haven't we? It's just, it's so human.
Absolutely. That feeling you described, that sense of a decision or an action just kind of unfolding almost independently of your conscious will. It's a profound experience.
Yeah.
And it really highlights the powerful, often invisible influence of what we're calling our inner autopilot. So today, we're taking a deep dive into this fascinating phenomenon. We're leaning heavily on the amazing work of Daniel Kahneman.
Oh, brilliant stuff.
Totally. He gave us this fantastic framework, the two systems of the mind. It's a concept that really helps us peel back the layers of how we think, feel, and, act.
And what a framework it is.
Yeah.
Seriously game-changing. So let's imagine your brain isn't just one big processor, right?
Right.
But instead it has these two distinct operators, often kind of competing, actually.
Definitely.
First up, we've got System 1. And this is your inner autopilot. Think of it as the super fast, intuitive, emotional, and automatic part of your brain.
Quick responder.
Totally. It's the master of snap judgments and efficient shortcuts. It operates with incredible speed, needs little to no conscious effort.
Effortless, almost.
And frankly, it handles the vast majority of your daily stuff without you even realizing it. It's like the experienced, maybe slightly impulsive co-pilot who handles all the routine flights.
That's a great analogy, yeah. And then we bring in System 2, your inner pilot.
The captain.
Sort of. This is the slow, deliberate, logical, and effortful part of your brain. It's the conscious thinker.
The one you actually notice working.
Exactly. The one you engage for complex tasks, deep reasoning, problem solving, and making truly intentional choices. It's the part that can pause, analyze, weigh the options.
And crucially, it can override that quick responding autopilot when it needs to.
That's the key. If System 1 is the default setting, System 2 is the manual override. But it takes focus. It takes energy.
Right. It's not lazy. So our mission today really is to explore how to recognize when this intuitive system or this inner autopilot might be leading you astray.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah. And this is especially vital in contexts like personal growth, self-improvement, or, what a lot of people call recovery.
Where those old habits are really dug in.
Exactly. Where old destructive habits are often deeply ingrained in our autopilot. So we're going to unpack how to purposefully, consciously engage your logical, deliberate System 2.
Take back the controls.
That's the goal. To make choices that genuinely align with your healing journey, your desired future, instead of just repeating your past history on this endless loop.
Breaking the cycle.
Yeah. Consider this your personal shortcut to really understanding these intricate cognitive processes. And, most importantly, learning how to take back those controls will give you not just the what, but the why and the how. Okay, let's really dig into this inner autopilot first. System 1, it's such a fundamental force in our lives, but often totally invisible, right?
Completely.
Yeah.
We often don't even realize how much of our day is actually governed by this rapid-fire System 1. It's the brain's default mode.
Just humming along in the background.
Exactly. Its core characteristic is incredible efficiency. I mean, System 1 is designed to conserve mental energy. That's its job.
Makes sense. Thinking is hard work.
It is. It allows us to navigate a complex world without having to consciously process every single tiny piece of information or every decision. Imagine trying to drive a route you know well.
Or tying your shoes.
Right. Or even just having a casual chat. If you had to consciously direct every single muscle movement or word choice.
It'd be impossible. Utterly exhausting.
Totally. System 1 handles these operations almost entirely automatically, freeing up our conscious mind, our System 2, for the more demanding stuff.
And nothing really embodies this efficiency, this automatic nature, more clearly than our habits, does
Oh,
it?
absolutely. Habits are system one in action. James Clear, in his book Atomic Habits, which is brilliant, by the way,
So good. Really practical.
he makes this point really stick. He says the major upside of habits is that we can do things without thinking. Pure efficiency.
But there's a downside. Yeah.
Definitely. The efficiency is a double-edged sword because, as he says, we become our habits.
Oof. That hits hard.
It does. Every single action we take, every choice, even if it feels tiny or insignificant in the moment, he says, is a vote for the type of person you wish to become.
Like casting a ballot for your future self.
Precisely. And ultimately, our very identity emerges out of our habits. It's this constant, often unconscious shaping of who we are, building brick by brick, moment by moment.
Wow. It's not just about doing things. It's about being someone.
It's a powerful idea, isn't it? And beyond just the conscious habits we might try to build or break, we also have these deeper, often non-conscious influences working on us.
Okay, like what?
Well, C.G. Jung's work on the unconscious psyche is fascinating here. He introduces this idea of myth-forming structural elements.
Sounds complex. What does that mean in simple terms?
Basically, Jung suggested there are these ancient archetypal patterns or stories embedded deep within our collective human unconscious, like primal
Blueprints for behavior.
for narratives and behaviors, yeah. They can unconsciously guide our thoughts and actions, often totally outside our immediate awareness. Think of it like an operating system that's been running for millennia, influencing us in ways we might not even perceive.
That's kind of mind-bending. So our autopilot isn't just learned routines, but maybe these ancient echoes too.
That's the idea. It adds another layer of complexity. And speaking of powerful influences, emotions play an absolutely massive role in System 1.
Oh, for sure. Gut feelings, snap reactions.
Exactly. Daniel Goleman, the emotional intelligence guy, he explains that our emotional management habits, acquired in childhood, become set in the basic synaptic wiring of neural architecture.
Wired in, literally.
Literally wired into our brains.
Okay.
He means the way we learn to react emotionally in our early years gets physically encoded, making them harder to change later in life.
Wow. So those childhood patterns really stick.
They really can. He highlights the amygdala, this tiny almond-shaped bit deep in our brain. It acts like an emotional radar.
Scanning for threats.
Or just emotional importance. It quickly evaluates situations and triggers rapid, often automatic responses. It's super fast.
Before System 2 even gets a look in.
Often, yes. We see this really dramatically in extreme cases, like with PTSD. A seemingly harmless trigger can instantly flood the system, right? Activating intense physical and emotional reactions, bypassing conscious thought entirely.
That makes sense. It's a survival mechanism kicking in.
It is. And a great, maybe less extreme example comes from the book Attached. They talk about Tamra. Her deeply ingrained need to remain with Greg was triggered by the very slightest feeling of danger, even a hint of distance.
Okay, so what happened?
This feeling would instantly activate what they call protest behavior, maybe calling him over and over or trying to make him jealous, that kind of thing.
The anxious attachment style in action.
Exactly. And from an evolutionary standpoint, this reactive clinging made perfect sense. Her System 1 was running on a deep emotional pattern. Prioritize connection, ensure safety.
Even if the behavior itself was actually pushing him away.
Precisely. Even if it was ultimately counterproductive to the relationship. System 1 isn't always logical in the long run. It's about immediate response based on past programming.
It's incredible how our primal brain just takes over sometimes.
Yeah.
Like logic goes out the window.
It really does. And what's equally fascinating is how our System 1 works so hard to maintain internal consistency, even if it means, bending reality a little bit.
You mean like rationalizing things?
Exactly that. Leon Festinger's theory of cognitive dissonance is brilliant here. He explains that we humans strive for consistency in beliefs. We like things to line up neatly in our heads.
Okay.
So when we encounter an inconsistency, maybe our beliefs clash with something we did or some new information, it creates this uncomfortable feeling, this psychological discomfort.
Dissonance.
Yeah.
Right. I hate that feeling.
Nobody likes it. And this discomfort is a really powerful motivator for System 1 to reduce the dissonance. How? Often through automatic rationalizations without any critical thought.
Can you give an example?
Sure. Imagine a friend just bought a super expensive car, right? They love it. Then they hear a report about its poor safety rating.
Oh, dissonance alert.
Big time. Instead of accepting the new, uncomfortable information, their System 1 might automatically kick in. They might dismiss the report, oh, that study was biased, or rationalize, it's fine, I'm a really good driver.
Ah, making excuses to feel better.
Basically, yes. Their mind finds ways to make the facts fit their comfortable narrative, protecting their initial decision, even if the rationalization is kind of flimsy when you look closely.
A classic System 1
Right.
shortcut, wouldn't you say? Protecting the ego.
Totally. And System 1 is a master of these kinds of mental shortcuts, these heuristics, which often lead to what we call perceptual biases.
Okay, like judging a book by its cover.
Sort of, yeah. Or think about Robert Cialdini's perceptual contrast principle. This shows up a lot in sales.
How does that work?
Well, imagine you're shopping for, say, a suit. The salesperson shows you a really high-priced luxury one first, like way out of budget.
Okay. Sticker shock.
Exactly. Then they show you a second suit. It's still expensive, maybe more than you planned, but compared to the first one.
It suddenly seems like a bargain.
Right. Your brain doesn't engage System 2 for a deep, objective analysis of the second suit's actual value.
Yeah.
It just makes a rapid, relative judgment based on the contrast.
Wow. So it's a trick of perception.
It is. This automatic comparison, a pure System 1 shortcut, significantly influences our decisions, often without us even realizing we're being nudged.
Okay, so that's what System 1 is, this incredibly efficient, sometimes emotional, shortcut-taking autopilot. But the big question is, how does it get programmed in the first place? We're not born with these specific habits or biases fully formed, are we?
No, definitely not. It's learned. A huge amount of System 1 programming happens through our early life imprints.
Childhood stuff again.
Yeah, it's critical. Goleman, back to him, really drives home that childhood is a crucial window of opportunity for shaping lifelong emotional propensities.
A window. So it's easier to program then.
It seems so. What happens to us as kids, experiences like neglect or abuse, or even just the consistent emotional patterns in our family environment, can literally leave their imprint on the emotional circuitry.
Like grooves getting worn into the brain.
That's a good way to think about it. Affecting how we respond to similar situations for decades sometimes. Think about it like the foundational software being installed on a brand new computer.
Sets the stage for everything else.
Pretty much. Eric Erikson also talks about this, noting a mutual assimilation of somatic, mental, and social patterns which amplify one another. He says this makes the cultural design for living economical and effective.
What does he mean by cultural design?
It's like our cultural upbringing, the norms, the values, the unspoken rules of how our society functions, all of that gets deeply embedded in our autopilot, too. It shapes our assumptions about how the world works.
Wow. So it's not just personal experience, but the whole culture programming us.
It's all interconnected. And then there's the more direct, observable behavioral programming. B.F. Skinner explored this so thoroughly with behaviorism.
Rewards and punishments.
Essentially, yes. From his perspective, behaviors aren't just random. They are shaped and maintained by their consequences, by these contingencies of reinforcement.
Okay, explain contingencies.
It just means our actions have consequences, right? And those consequences determine if we're likely to repeat the action. He points out that behaviors we classify as good or bad are often just due to contingencies involving a great variety of reinforcers, including simple things like people saying good or bad or right or wrong.
Ah, so verbal feedback programs us too.
Absolutely. If your System 1 tries something and gets a good or some kind of reward, it logs that. Okay, do that again. Conversely, a bad or a punishment teaches it, avoid that.
And this happens all the time, probably without us even noticing.
Constantly. Which leads us perfectly into James Clear's really practical concept of the habit loop. It beautifully explains how a habit gets wired in through a 4-step process.
Right, I remember this. Cue, craving.
Cue, craving, response, and reward. Let's break it down. The cue is the trigger, maybe seeing that bag of chips on the counter.
Okay, the trigger.
The craving is the desire for the reward, the salty taste, the crunch, the comfort, whatever it is.
Wanting the feeling.
Exactly. The response is the action itself, actually eating the chip.
Doing the thing.
And the reward is the satisfaction you get, which reinforces the whole loop. Makes you want to do it again next time you see the cue.
Got it. Cue, craving, response, reward. Simple but powerful.
Very. And to effectively train your System 1 for desired habits, Clear advises designing your environment, making the cues for the habits you want really obvious and visible.
Like leaving your running shoes by the door.
Perfect example. Or if you want to drink more water, keep a full water bottle right there on your desk. The visual cue becomes unavoidable. You're literally reprogramming your autopilot through environmental design. System 2 sets up the environment so System 1 follows.
That's smart, making the good choice the easy choice. It's fascinating how much our environment and our social circles feed into this programming too.
Hugely important. Cialdini's concept of pluralistic ignorance is a stark example of how social dynamics can just bypass our individual thinking and program our autopilot.
Pluralistic ignorance. What's that?
Okay, imagine you're in a public place, maybe a park, and someone suddenly collapses. It looks serious.
Okay, alarming.
But if everyone else around you just looks calm, maybe glances over but doesn't react, seems unconcerned.
You start to doubt yourself.
Exactly. Your System 1 might interpret their lack of action as a signal that nothing is wrong, even if your own internal alarm bells are ringing faintly. You rely on their apparent calm as the cue for your System 1 response.
So you do nothing because nobody else is doing anything.
Right. You override your individual assessment based on the group's inaction. It's a classic case of following the herd, even when the herd might be tragically wrong. System 1 takes the social cue.
That's kind of scary, actually.
It can be. And a truly chilling historical example of external systems manipulating behavior comes from the Korean War POW camps.
Okay.
The Chinese communists, instead of using just brute force, employed a more subtle, insidious, lenient policy. It was a sophisticated form of psychological assault.
How did that work?
They subtly encouraged American soldiers to inform on one another through carefully designed systems of small rewards and punishments, things like slightly better food or avoiding certain duties.
Wow. Turning them against each other.
Precisely. By creating these social contingencies that eroded trust and fostered isolation, they profoundly manipulated and reprogrammed behavior, often without direct force. It shows how powerful external social systems can be in shaping our autopilot responses, sometimes even against our core values.
That's dark. But it shows the power of the environment again.
Absolutely. And bringing it back to Festinger and cognitive dissonance, his work also shows how this discomfort influences the information we consume.
How so?
He states that dissonance drives individuals to seek out information that aligns with their beliefs and attitudes, specifically to reduce feelings of discomfort.
So we look for stuff that proves us right.
We actively do. And crucially, this means we tend to avoid information that could introduce further dissonance. If your autopilot already believes something is true, your System 1 will preferentially seek out news, friends, even internal thoughts that confirm that belief.
Creating our own little echo chamber.
Exactly. It reinforces the existing patterns and makes it even harder for new, contradictory information, maybe from System 2, to break through. System 1 likes comfort and consistency.
Okay, so we get it. System 1 is efficient. It gets programmed easily. But now the dark side. Let's talk about when this autopilot, just left running wild, leads us astray. This is where it gets really challenging, doesn't it? Especially for anyone trying to grow or recover from stuff.
It really is. This is where the efficiency turns into a liability. In the context of recovery, whether from trauma, addiction, or just deeply ingrained negative patterns, one of the most profound pitfalls is how System 1 perpetuates destructive behaviors.
Keeps us stuck in the same old loops.
Exactly. Bessel van der Kolk, a top expert on trauma, reveals something really important. He says trauma compromises the brain area that communicates the physical, embodied feeling of being alive.
Wow. Compromises it how?
It can make people feel disconnected from their present experience, numb or unreal. And this disconnection can lead traumatized individuals to keep repeating the same problems and have such trouble learning from experience.
Because they're not fully there to learn.
In a way, yes. And he makes a critical point here. These repetitive, often self-sabotaging behaviors are not the result of moral failings or signs of lack of willpower or bad character. They are caused by actual changes in the brain.
Okay, that's huge. It's not a character flaw.
It's not. It's a deeply rooted System 1 response, often a protective mechanism that's gone awry, based on real neurobiological shifts. It's the brain trying to cope, not a sign of being bad or weak.
That distinction feels incredibly important. It offers, compassion instead of judgment, and a path forward based on understanding the brain.
Absolutely. And one of the biggest costs of System 1's efficiency tied into this is a pervasive lack of awareness. We touched on this.
Right, we stop paying attention.
James Clear nails it when he highlights the downside of habits. We stop paying attention to little errors. He says a lack of self-awareness is poison to growth.
Poison. Strong word.
It is, because our autopilot becomes so streamlined, so automatic, that we simply miss the subtle cues, the minor course corrections needed. We don't see the little mistakes adding up. We're on cruise control, but we've maybe forgotten where we set the destination.
Or the map is outdated.
Good analogy. And this lack of self-awareness feeds directly into a whole host of cognitive biases in our decision-making.
Okay, like what?
Take selection bias, a concept from 5 Psychological Truths. This bias basically skews perception and decision-making by setting a default story in your mind.
A default story.
Yeah, like an initial assumption or narrative. And once that story is set, the bias results in repeated mistakes because you stop looking for disconfirming evidence.
You only see what fits the story.
Exactly. Your System 1 quickly latches onto a narrative, and then it just filters out anything that doesn't fit. It ignores inconvenient facts.
How do you know you're doing that?
The signals include things like quick certainty, feeling absolutely sure really fast, or getting defensive when challenged, or having a very selective memory, only remembering the supporting facts.
Uh-oh. Sounds familiar sometime.
It happens to all of us. System 1 literally constructs a reality that supports its existing view, shutting down any chance for System 2 to step in and say, hang on, let's look at this again.
Oh, the comfort of quick certainty.
Yeah.
It feels good, but it can be dangerous. Another classic System 1 trap that so many of us fall into is procrastination.
The ultimate do-it-later autopilot.
Totally. Dan Ariely's research in Predictably Irrational is fascinating here. He found that while students generally understood their problem with procrastination,
They knew they did it.
yeah, they knew, but even those who do recognize their tendency to procrastinate may not understand their problem completely. They often fail, for instance, to set the deadlines that are best for getting the best performance.
Why? What's System 1 doing there? It seems their intuitive desire for immediate gratification, like doing something fun now or just avoiding the discomfort of a hard task, simply wins out over their longer-term goals that System 2 might value.
System 1 wants comfort now. System 2 knows the essay is due Friday.
Exactly. System 1 prioritizes the present moment's ease, even if System 2 knows it's a terrible long-term strategy.
Been there, done that.
Yeah.
And Carol Dweck's work on mindset shows another way System 1 can hold us back, right? The fixed mindset.
Yes, a fixed mindset can really function as a System 1 default that severely hinders growth and learning.
What defines a fixed mindset again?
It's the underlying belief that your abilities, your intelligence, your talents are basically innate and unchangeable, set in stone.
You either have it or you don't.
Pretty much. And Dweck found, for example, that managers with this fixed mindset might fail to take notice when their employees actually improve because it doesn't fit their model.
They don't see the growth because they don't believe it's possible.
Right. And they're often far less likely to seek or accept critical feedback themselves because if ability is fixed, criticism just feels like a judgment, not an opportunity to learn. System 1 says protect the ego, ability is static.
So it closes them off completely to improvement for themselves and others.
It really can. And switching gears to more personal relationships, we see these autopilot behaviors manifest powerfully in what the book Attached calls the anxious avoidant trap.
Oh yeah, that dynamic. Explain that one.
It's a relationship pattern where there are incongruent intimacy needs. One partner typically needs more closeness and reassurance, anxious style, while the other needs more space and independence, avoidant style.
Okay, pulling in opposite directions.
Exactly. And this mismatch often leads to substantially lower satisfaction for both people. But here's the trap. Individuals can feel too emotionally connected to the other person to leave. That System 1 pull towards familiarity and attachment is strong.
Even though they're unhappy.
Yes, despite an eerie sense that the relationship is not right, their System 1 is stuck in this familiar, often unhealthy push-pull dynamic. It makes it incredibly difficult for System 2 to step in, assess the situation logically, and break free, even when the relationship is clearly causing a lot of distress.
The autopilot just keeps running the same painful program.
It often does. And finally, Alfred Adler, the founder of individual psychology, offered a really interesting insight into self-deception and what he called laziness. He saw it not just as inaction, but as a System 1 defense mechanism.
Laziness is a defense.
He described how laziness serves as a screen to hide the child's lack of faith in himself. It prohibits them from making attempts to cope with the problems confronting him.
So pretending to be lazy stops you from having to try and maybe fail.
That's the core idea. It's not just simple idleness, it's an automatic defense. System 1 helps the person avoid the discomfort of potential failure or the challenge of growth. It reinforces a belief like, oh, I could do it if I really wanted to. I'm just lazy right now.
Instead of facing the fear, what if I try and I'm not good enough?
Exactly. It protects a fragile ego or sense of self-worth, but at the expense of actual growth and tackling challenges. It's a subtle but powerful way System 1 can keep us stuck, protecting us from short-term discomfort but preventing long-term potential.
Wow, okay. So we've really painted a picture of how pervasive and powerful System 1 can be, for good and, well, sometimes for bad. This feels like the crucial turning point in our deep dive now. How do we actually shift gears? How do we go from being passively driven by this autopilot to actively grabbing the wheel? How do we engage our inner pilot, System 2? What's its job, fundamentally?
Yeah, this is the hopeful part. The core function of System 2 is conscious, effortful, and analytical thought. It is the deliberate part of your mind.
The thinker.
The thinker, exactly. Responsible for reasoning, self-control, focused attention. Think of it this way. If System 1 is that automatic drive mode, System 2 is like the intricate flight control panel.
Where the pilot makes the calculated move.
Precisely. It's the part that can assess the terrain, read the complex maps, check the instruments, and consciously steer the vehicle. But here's the catch. It requires energy. It requires intentionality. It requires slowing down and actually thinking.
It's not the default mode. You have to choose it.
You really do. I love how William James, often called the father of American psychology, frames this. He emphasizes that our considering the spiritual self at all is a reflective process.
Okay.
He says it's the result of our abandoning the outward-looking point of view and of our having become able to think of subjectivity as such, to think ourselves as thinkers.
Wow. Thinking about thinking itself.
Exactly. That's profound, isn't it? It highlights the fundamental self-awareness required to even activate System 2. The ability to step back, reflect on our own thoughts, our own existence, rather than just reacting automatically.
It's the moment we realize we are not just our thoughts, but also the observer of our thoughts.
Beautifully put, yes. And this capacity for abstract thought and complex problem solving is a real hallmark of System 2.
Thinking beyond the immediate situation.
Right. Mithaly Csikszentmihalyi, famous for his work on flow, notes that words make abstract thinking possible. Language increases the mind's capacity to store the stimuli it has attended to, providing a structure for our consciousness to build upon.
So language helps us think better.
It provides the tools.
Yeah.
Albert Bandura, the social learning theorist, expands on this. He states that symbols provide the instruments of thought.
Symbols, like words or images.
Yes. He means our ability to use language and internal mental representations enables cognitive problem solving. We can translate external functions into covert symbolic ones, meaning we can think things through internally with increasing complexity and abstraction.
We can run simulations in our head.
That's a great way to put it. We can manipulate ideas, plan, strategize, anticipate consequences, all without directly acting on them yet. That's System 2 at work.
And it's not something we're born doing perfectly, right? It takes time to develop.
Absolutely not. Jean Piaget's research on cognitive development in children shows that things like genuine argument, really reasoning back and forth, and collaboration and abstract thought only become frequent after specific developmental stages, typically around age 7 or 8.
So it's a skill that develops.
It indicates these aren't innate automatic processes like System 1. They're effortful, acquired skills that require mental energy and practice. It's not just about thinking. It's about thinking, engaging in that higher level cognitive process.
Metacognition.
Exactly. And central to all of this System 2 activity is the power of attention and focus.
Paying attention. Sounds simple, but it's hard.
It really is. Csikszentmihalyi describes an optimal state of inner experience where there is order in consciousness. This state, which he famously called flow.
Being in the zone.
Right. It's achieved when psychic energy or attention is invested in realistic goals. It requires you to concentrate attention on the task at hand, and for a time, you momentarily forget everything else.
Total absorption.
That deep, focused attention where you're fully absorbed in a challenging task, that's System 2, fully engaged, consciously directing your mental resources where you want them to go.
And crucially, System 2 is what allows us to actually question everything, isn't it?
Yeah.
To challenge our own autopilot.
Yes, to challenge our own assumptions, our biases, and move beyond those automatic responses of System 1. It encourages critical thinking by pushing us to consider different viewpoints, to actively seek out new or conflicting information. It's the part of us that can truly scrutinize information, look for flaws in arguments, weigh evidence.
Like being your own internal skeptic.
A healthy skeptic, yeah.
Oh.
Just like Festinger's methods for distinguishing forced compliance from genuine opinion change involved carefully observing behavior when external pressure was removed or directly measuring private opinions. System 2 wants to get to the genuine understanding, not just the surface level automatic acceptance. It peels back the layers.
Okay, so System 2 sounds like a muscle we definitely need to exercise more often. But how do we actively do that? How do we cultivate this awareness, this intentionality to consistently activate System 2, especially when our autopilot is just humming along, perfectly happy in its old grooves?
Great question. It takes deliberate practice. James Clear, again, offers a really powerful starting point. He calls reflection and review the antidote to that lack of self-awareness we talked about.
The antidote to autopilot errors.
Exactly. And this isn't just, a casual thought at the end of the day. He describes it as a deliberate, systematic process that allows you to remain conscious of your performance over time.
Like checking the flight instruments regularly.
Precisely. It's about consciously checking in, asking yourself, how did that go? What worked? What didn't? What patterns am I seeing? Like a pilot running through a post-flight debrief or a pre-flight checklist.
And 5 psychological truths gives us some concrete ways to do this, right? Practical drills.
Yes, really actionable stuff. They suggest using notes and reflections, literally just free writing about your decisions, your emotions, the patterns you notice in yourself.
Getting it out of your head and onto paper.
Exactly. Externalizing those internal System 1 processes brings them into the light where System 2 can examine them. And crucially, they talk about the importance of regularly updating your identity script.
Identity script? What's that?
It means consciously revising who you believe you are and, maybe more importantly, who you want to become. You're not just reacting, you're defining. This is System 2 actively rewriting System 1's underlying programming. You're literally choosing your future self.
Wow. That's proactive.
Very. And to actively combat those tricky cognitive biases, like the selection bias we discussed.
Where you only see what confirms your story.
Right. You need to force System 2 into action. 5 psychological truths advises asking yourself really critical, challenging questions that push against your comfortable narrative. Questions like,
Okay, give me examples.
Like, if I were wrong here, what would I be missing? Or who disagrees with me on this and why might they be right?
Ooh, those are tough questions.
Yeah.
They force you to look outside your bubble.
They do. This deliberate search for disconfirming evidence actively challenges your autopilot's preferred story. It forces your inner pilot, your System 2, to consider other routes, other possibilities.
This feels like more than just a behavioral tweak, though. It sounds like it can lead to a fundamental shift in how you see things.
It absolutely can. Jordan Peterson talks about this concept of metanoia. He translates it not just as repentance for past mistakes, but as a profound change of outlook or spiritual metamorphosis, an enlarged vision of the dimensions of human life. This isn't just adjusting a habit, it's a deep System 2 shift that can alter your entire way of perceiving yourself, others, the world, like a fundamental upgrade to your mental operating system.
A metamorphosis. That's powerful.
It is. And this kind of deep insight and shift is often the core goal of therapeutic work.
In a sense, therapy is often about seeing things different.
Exactly. Abraham Maslow, known for his hierarchy of needs, he noted that successful psychotherapy helps by fostering our basic instinctoid needs, our true healthy desires, and weakening those neurotic needs, the unhealthy learned patterns often driven by System 1 fear or deficiency.
So therapy strengthens the real you.
That's the idea. Maslow implies that genuine insight, gained through therapy or reflection, strengthens one's intrinsic nature by making the unconscious patterns conscious, bringing System 1 habits into System 2 awareness.
And Freud was aiming for something similar.
In his own way, yes. Sigmund Freud saw psychoanalysis as a method to establish the true facts of the moral world, as he put it, to facilitate psychological reform, helping individuals consciously understand the roots of their behaviors, their defenses, their desires, thereby activating their System 2 for change and integration.
What's really surprising, though, is that engaging System 2, even though it's effortful, can actually be deeply enjoyable. It's not always a chore.
No, not at all. Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi's flow experiences are all about this. Those moments where you're so fully absorbed in an activity you lose track of time.
Yeah, I love those moments.
Those are often solitary pursuits that have nothing to do with reward seeking in the external sense. In these flow states, individuals become independent of the social environment, he says, and learn to provide rewards to herself.
Internal reward.
What? Exactly. It's System 2 finding intrinsic satisfaction in its own deliberate engagement. The joy of deep focus, of meeting a challenge, of learning for its own sake.
So activating System 2 can feel really good.
Definitely. And this kind of self-awareness, this conscious processing that System 2 enables, is actually a prerequisite for any real, lasting learning or behavioral change.
You need to know what's happening to change it.
Precisely. Albert Bandura's research showed this really clearly. He found that reinforcing consequences, rewards or punishments, were ineffective in modifying behavior as long as participants were unaware of the reinforcement contingency.
Wait, so rewards didn't work if people didn't know why they were getting them?
Basically, yes. If you don't consciously know what specific action is being rewarded or punished, your System 1 won't learn effectively from it. Conscious awareness, that System 2 function, is the crucial link needed to understand cause and effect and direct behavioral change effectively. You need to know the rules of the game to play it differently. #tag 2.3. Resisting external manipulations and internal shortcuts with System 2.
Okay, so engaging System 2 isn't just about improving ourselves internally. It's also absolutely critical for navigating the outside world, right? For resisting those external manipulations and also tripping over our own internal shortcuts that might not serve us well.
Absolutely. It's about taking conscious control, not just for personal growth, but for making wiser choices out there in the world. It's a vital defense mechanism.
How does it defend us?
Well, think about persuasive tactics, like scarcity or urgency, that marketers often use. Robert Cialdini, in his book Influence, gives us a powerful strategy for counteracting these.
Okay, what is it?
He advises using the tide of emotional arousal that flows from scarcity influences, that fear of missing out feeling, that panic as a signal to stop short.
Like a red flag, pause button.
Exactly. That emotional spike, often generated by System 1's fear of loss, should be a cue. A cue for your System 2 to step in, regain a rational perspective, and ask yourself, okay, hang on, why do I truly want this item under consideration? Is it the item itself or just the pressure I'm feeling?
It's a deliberate pause to question the impulse, instead of just reacting to the limited time offer.
Precisely, a direct System 2 intervention against a common System 1 trigger.
And Dan Ariely's work, back in Predictably Irrational, showed how powerful pre-commitment can be for self-control, right? Using System 2 in advance.
Yes, literally setting up System 2 to win against future System 1 temptations. He found that simply offering the students a tool by which they could pre-commit to deadlines helped them achieve better grades.
So setting their own deadlines in advance worked.
It helped. Instead of relying on System 1 willpower to resist distraction in the moment, which often fails, their System 2 set firm boundaries ahead of time.
Planning ahead to outsmart your future self's impulses.
Exactly. And 5 psychological truths reinforces this strategy. They suggest we set a pre-commitment, write the criteria for decisions before you see the options.
Like deciding your budget before you go shopping.
Perfect example. Or defining the key features you need before looking at cars. This minimizes the chance for System 1 to get swayed by shiny objects, emotional appeals, or that contrast principle we talked about. System 2 sets the rules first.
That's really practical. We see the ultimate expression of this kind of deliberate resistance in situations demanding real moral courage, don't we?
We do, where individuals consciously resist powerful external pressures to do something wrong. Philip Zimbardo's The Lucifer Effect, which analyzes how good people can do bad things.
Like in the Stanford prison experiment he ran.
Exactly. But he also provides powerful examples of individuals within those highly coercive environments who exhibited enormous personal courage and personal integrity, people who stood up against the tide.
How did they do it?
He recounts one fascinating instance where a prisoner, nicknamed Sarge, used a clever logical paradox to essentially talk his way out of obeying an unethical command from a guard. He didn't just react or submit.
He used his brain deliberately.
He used System 2. He demonstrated deliberate, reasoned resistance against a really powerful external influence, rather than passively complying like many others did. It's the conscious mind choosing principle over automatic obedience or fear.
That's truly inspiring. Takes real strength.
It does. And finally, just thinking about the brain's sheer adaptability, Oliver Sacks' incredible case studies, like in The Man Who Mistook His Wife for a Hat, show the remarkable capacity for functional adaptation and compensation, primarily driven by System 2.
How so?
He describes Christina, for instance, a woman who suddenly and completely lost her proprioception.
Proprioception. That's the sense of your body's position in space.
Exactly. That fundamental, automatic System 1 sense that lets you know where your limbs are without looking. She lost it entirely, a devastating impairment.
I can't even imagine. How did she cope?
Despite this profound loss, she achieved considerable functional recovery. How? By consciously, painstakingly relying on substitutions and other such tricks, primarily using her vision to monitor and control her body's movements.
So she had to watch herself move to make it happen.
Essentially, yes. Her System 2 had to consciously take over tasks that System 1 normally handles effortlessly and unconsciously. It illustrates System 2's incredible capacity to compensate, problem solve, and find new ways of functioning, even when core System 1 processes are severely damaged. It's a testament to the flexibility and sheer determination of the conscious mind.
Okay, this brings us to maybe the most crucial part of our deep dive. We've explored System 1, we've explored System 2. How do we take all this amazing understanding and actually apply it? How do we practically rewire our autopilot for recovery, for growth, for sustained well-being?
Right, where the rubber meets the road. And it really starts with something more fundamental than just changing a specific behavior. It often starts with shifting your identity.
Shifting identity. How does that work?
James Clear makes this point so powerfully. He says, the most effective way to change your habits is to focus not on what you want to achieve, but on who you wish to become.
Okay, unpack that. Sounds important.
It means moving beyond surface-level goals, like, I want to stop procrastinating. That's outcome-based. Instead, you focus on changing your fundamental beliefs about yourself. I am a person who takes action. I am a person who finishes what they start.
Oh, so you define yourself by the desired trait.
Exactly. Your System 2 consciously chooses and cultivates this new identity. And then the habits naturally start to follow suit, because each action becomes, as Clear says, a vote for that new person you envision yourself being. It's a profound shift from outcome-based thinking to identity-based living. System 2 leads, System 1 follows the new script.
That feels much more powerful than just trying to force a new behavior. And a core part of that identity shift must be adopting what Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, right?
Absolutely essential. Instead of seeing your abilities, your intelligence, or even your capacity for change as fixed, which is often that default System 1 setting we talked about, a growth mindset views talent or current ability as just the starting point.
Believing you can actually change and learn.
Yes. It emphasizes continuous effort, learning from mistakes, resilience in the face of setbacks. Dweck highlights that managers with a growth mindset, for example, show real commitment to their employees' development and to their own. They believe growth is possible.
So you're basically telling your brain, I can evolve. This isn't fixed.
Precisely. You're activating System 2's potential for learning and adaptability, rather than letting System 1's fixed narrative hold you back.
And this kind of change, this growth, is often tied to finding a deeper sense of purpose, isn't it? Something that pulls you forward.
Very much so. That provides the why for System 2's effort. C.G. Jung talks about the strongest, the most ineluctable urge in every being, namely the urge to realize itself.
To become who you truly are.
Yes. Not necessarily about external achievement, but this internal imperative, this drive towards wholeness and authenticity. Similarly, Alfred Adler's individual psychology emphasizes that our mental life receives an impetus in a forward direction through the proposing of a certain end, or what he called a fictional teleology.
Fictional teleology, what's that?
It sounds complicated, but it just means our imagined future goals, our vision for ourselves, even if it's not fully concrete yet, acts like a powerful magnet. It pulls us forward, gives direction and meaning to our conscious energy and effort. System 2 can consciously define these ends, these purposes, giving fuel to our striving.
That's a beautiful thought. We're pulled by a future vision of ourselves, created by our own minds. And interestingly, Adler also connected this striving to overcoming feelings of inferiority, right?
He did. He explained that nothing stands more in the way of the development of social interest, our ability to connect and contribute, than an increased inferiority feeling. Feeling less than holds us back.
Okay, so how do we get past that?
Adler suggested that satisfying the basic human striving for self-enhancement, that drive to feel competent, capable, and worthy, is actually a prerequisite for a more selfless striving for perfection or contribution. When System 2 helps us build genuine self-esteem, feel more capable.
We can look beyond ourselves.
Exactly. We're better able to look beyond our own needs and contribute to the greater good, rather than being constantly preoccupied with our own perceived shortcomings or insecurities. Building yourself up allows you to give more back.
That makes a lot of sense. And for anyone listening who feels really trapped by old, destructive patterns, maybe things rooted in trauma, there's real hope here, isn't there, based on the brain itself?
There absolutely is. Bessel van der Kolk offers a profoundly optimistic and, importantly, scientifically grounded outlook. He emphasizes again and again that we can utilize the brain's own natural neuroplasticity to help survivors feel fully alive in the present and move on with their lives.
Neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change.
Yes, this is concrete hope. The brain's inherent ability to rewire itself, to reorganize its connections based on experience, means that even deeply ingrained patterns, even those stemming from severe trauma, can be changed. It's not about erasing the past, but about rewiring the present responses, giving System 2 a new, healthier foundation to build upon. Change is possible at a neurological level. Hashtag TypeYou 3.2. Practical tools for conscious habit change and emotional regulation.
Okay, so with that really hopeful and empowering foundation, the idea that change is possible, that we can shift identity, that the brain can rewire, what are some practical, concrete tools we can use right now? How do we put System 2 into the driver's seat to consciously change habits and manage those powerful emotional surges from System 1?
Great, let's get tactical. James Clear's Atomic Habits is just packed with excellent strategic techniques for habit formation.
Like what? Give us a key one.
One really powerful method is habit stacking. The idea is to link a new desired behavior to an existing, already automatic routine that System 1 already handles.
Okay, how does that look in practice?
So instead of just vaguely saying, "I'll meditate more," you create a very clear, specific instruction for your System 1, designed by System 2. For example, after I current habit, like brushing my teeth, I will new habit, like meditate for 5 minutes.
Piggybacking on an existing habit.
Exactly. It leverages your existing System 1 routines to anchor the new System 2 choice. Makes it much easier to remember and implement. Clear also emphasizes making bad habits invisible.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Pretty much actively removing the cues from your environment. If the cue isn't there, say, you move the tempting snacks off the counter and into a high cupboard, your System 1 isn't triggered as easily. This gives System 2 more breathing room to maintain control. Don't rely on willpower alone. Change the environment.
That's smart. And 5 psychological truths adds to this, right? Talking about friction.
Yes, they suggest we actively remove friction for what they call keystone habits. These are the foundational habits like sleep, movement, planning, or reflection that tend to support everything else.
How do you remove friction?
Make the good choice the easiest choice. So if you want to exercise first thing, lay out your workout clothes the night before. Friction removed. If you want to journal, leave the notebook and pen open on your desk, add a clear cue, remove the barriers, make the desired behavior the path of least resistance for System 1, so your inner pilot, System 2, can more easily choose that action.
Okay, that makes sense for habits. What about managing emotions? That feels like prime System 1 territory, often hijacking us.
Absolutely. Emotions are where System 1 is often most powerful and reactive. 5 psychological truths provide specific step-by-step emotion protocols to help System 2 intervene.
Protocols, like a checklist for feelings.
Sort of. For managing stress, for instance, they suggest a sequence. Name, locate, breathe, act.
Okay, break that down.
First, you consciously name the emotion. I feel overwhelmed, I feel anxious. Then you locate where you feel it in your body. Next, you breathe deeply, consciously, to create some space and calm the nervous system. Finally, you act, prioritize tasks, sequence them logically, maybe reduce incoming stimulation.
So it's a structured way to interrupt the stress spiral.
Exactly. And for anger, another common System 1 reaction, the advice starts with delay the first response. Crucial first step. Create that pause.
Don't just lash out.
Right. Then consciously write the boundary you will state, thinking it through with System 2, then deliver it calmly, followed again by the name, locate, breathe, act sequence if needed. These are very deliberate System 2 interventions designed to manage those powerful, automatic System 1 emotional surges.
Those protocols sound incredibly useful, like emergency procedures for your mind. And what about in our relationships? Old System 1 wounds and patterns often take over there, don't they?
Oh, absolutely. Relationships are often where our earliest System 1 programming shows up most strongly. 5 psychological truths introduces this really profound concept that relationships are mirrors.
Mirrors. How so?
The idea is, We export our inner world. Unhealed wounds show up as defensiveness, contempt, or people-pleasing. Our unresolved stuff gets projected onto our interactions.
Ouch. Okay.
Yeah.
So how do we clean the mirror?
They offer a field drill to counteract this. It involves consciously replacing reactive, blaming you statements, like "you always make me feel," with more reflective and responsible "I notice I feel I need" statements.
Taking ownership of your experience.
Yes, followed by a clear request and then actually listening to the other person's reflection. This simple shift forces conscious, empathetic communication, system 2, instead of those reactive autopilot patterns, system 1, that often just escalate conflict.
That takes practice, I bet.
Definitely. And for deeper work, especially around trauma processing, which really requires engaging System 2 to heal System 1's lingering impact, Vanderkolk outlines 3 avenues for recovery.
Okay, what are they?
First, top-down, which is using System 2 insight. By talking and allowing ourselves to know and understand what is going on with us. Therapy, journaling, reflection.
Understanding the story.
Exactly. Second, and crucially, bottom-up. This involves allowing the body to have experiences that deeply and viscerally contradict the helplessness, rage, or collapse associated with the trauma. Things like somatic therapies, yoga, movement, retraining the nervous system directly.
Healing the body's memory, not just the mind's.
Right, and he mentions techniques like EMDR, eye movement, desensitization, and reprocessing as a specific method that allows accessing traumatic memories without being overwhelmed. It helps System 2 integrate them into a coherent narrative rather than having them stuck in System 1's automatic reenactment loop.
Integrating the past so it stops hijacking the present.
Beautifully said. This all speaks to the power of deliberate practice for achieving any kind of mastery, whether it's emotional regulation or a new skill. Clear notes that habits plus deliberate practice, mastery.
Not just mindless repetition.
No, it's doing it with conscious intention and feedback. Angela Duckworth, in her work on grit, highlights the importance of a relentless challenge to improve and constantly pushing beyond what you can do today so that tomorrow you're just a little bit better.
Embracing the struggle.
Yes. That's System 2, actively seeking out growth, not just coasting. As Csikszentmihalyi advises for staying in flow, when an activity becomes boring or too easy, you have to keep raising the stakes to maintain that engaged, optimal state. Keep challenging System 2.
And ultimately, these sustained conscious efforts, they lead to something deeper, don't they? More than just skill.
They lead to intrinsic motivation and a real sense of meaning. Daniel Pink, in Motivation 3.0, argues for fostering engagement over mere compliance to achieve true mastery. It's about wanting to do it from the inside.
Finding the inherent reward.
Exactly. Csikszentmihalyi observed that even people in demanding jobs, like surgeons, often find their greatest enthusiasm for the intrinsic aspects of the job. The feeling one gets from the activity itself, the challenge, the focus. When System 2 engages in purposeful action, driven by genuine curiosity and the desire to meet a challenge, it leads to deep self-generated satisfaction, independent of external rewards or praise. This is the inner pilot steering towards true fulfillment. Hashtag 3.3, cultivating supportive environments for sustained System 2 engagement.
Okay, so we've talked about shifting identity, using specific tools for habits and emotions. But it's not just an internal battle we're fighting, is it? Our external world, our environment, the people around us, they play a massive role in either supporting or undermining these System 2 efforts.
Oh, absolutely huge. We don't exist in a vacuum. Our context matters immensely.
So how do we consciously cultivate those supportive environments? Make the outside world help our inside world?
Well, back to Festinger's cognitive dissonance theory, he also noted that social groups serve as a valuable resource for reducing cognitive dissonance.
How do groups help with that uncomfortable feeling?
Because individuals naturally seek confirmation of their beliefs from others. Hearing people you trust agree with you adds consonant cognitive elements, making your belief feel stronger and more comfortable.
Social proof makes us feel better about our choices.
It does. So if you're trying to change a belief or a habit, trying to strengthen a new System 2 perspective over an old System 1 default, having others around you who support that change, or even better, who already embody it, makes it much, much easier.
Surrounding yourself with people who reflect who you want to become.
Exactly. And importantly, Festinger found that individuals with more social contacts are generally more successful in changing their opinions. Probably because they have more access to confirming information, diverse perspectives, and just general support that can help reshape those System 1 defaults. Connection facilitates change.
So this means consciously choosing your companions wisely is actually a profoundly practical strategy for personal growth.
It really is. The book Attached, focusing on relationship styles, explicitly advises people trying to become more secure to find a secure partner.
Why?
Because they note that people with secure attachment styles tend to make their anxious and avoidant partners more secure as well, rather than triggering and exacerbating the old insecure patterns. Your interpersonal environment can either constantly reinforce old, unhelpful System 1 dynamics or actively help to reshape them towards health.
It's like choosing the right training ground or the right flight instructor for your inner pilot.
That's a great analogy. And Dan Ariely's research on procrastination provides another fascinating insight, this time into how external structures can support our often flaky System 2 discipline.
What did he find there?
He found that tightly restricting their freedom, specifically by imposing equally spaced deadlines from above, is the best cure for procrastination among his student subjects. It actually led to better grades than even the deadlines the students tried to impose on themselves.
Wow, so external deadlines worked better than self-imposed ones.
In that study, yes. It illustrates a crucial point. Sometimes, when our own internal self-discipline, Sister 2, is weak, or when our System 1 is really prone to temptation or avoidance, external structures can provide the necessary scaffolding. Things like accountability partners, coaches, firm deadlines, structured programs that can support System 2 and keep it engaged and on track when it might otherwise falter.
Sometimes we need external help to keep our internal pilot flying right.
We often do, and this extends to leadership too, whether it's leading a team or how you structure your own life, how you lead yourself.
Okay.
Angela Duckworth, back to her work on grit, highlights that deep and rich support and relentless challenge to improve are key factors for fostering excellence in individuals and teams. It's not just one or the other.
Support and challenge. Like a good coach.
Exactly. It's about creating an environment both internal in your mindset and external in your structures and relationships that both nurtures growth with compassion and gently but firmly pushes you beyond your current comfort zone. That combination constantly strengthens System 2's capabilities, like having a great flight instructor who totally believes in you but also knows exactly when to demand more precision.
Finding that balance. And ultimately, the goal is to become more self-sufficient in this, right?
Yeah.
Not always needing the external props.
That's the trajectory, yes. Csikszentmihalyi observes that engaging in those intrinsically rewarding flow experiences helps people become independent of the social environment to the degree that they no longer respond exclusively in terms of its rewards and punishments.
Less swayed by praise or criticism.
Exactly. He says the key is to learn to provide rewards to herself. This is the ultimate autonomy, isn't it? System 2 becomes capable of self-reinforcement, fostering a sustainable internal drive for growth, purpose, and personal satisfaction, regardless of constant external validation.
It's about becoming your own deepest source of motivation and reward, fully in command of your inner pilot. Wow, what an incredible journey we've just taken. We've really traveled from understanding that lightning-fast, often totally unconscious System 1, that inner autopilot just running in the background, sometimes, steering us right off course.
Straight into the ditch sometimes.
Right. All the way to consciously engaging the deliberate logical System 2, our inner pilot. We've seen how our brains get programmed by, well, everything. Early experiences, ingrained habits, social influences, those deep, primal emotional reactions.
Yeah, all those layers.
And how that programming can lead us into these repetitive, often unfulfilling patterns, loops we feel stuck in.
But the truly empowering part, I think, is what we've uncovered about System 2. The fact that there are concrete strategies, ways to awaken and strengthen our deliberate thinking, to challenge those biases, regulate tough emotions, and even fundamentally rewire our very identity.
It feels like this whole process, at its core, is about choosing. Choosing healing, choosing growth, choosing intention.
Over just repeating history.
Yeah.
Choosing your future over your past programming.
It feels immensely empowering to realize that changing these deep-seated patterns isn't some kind of sign of moral failing or personal weakness. It drives me nuts when people talk like that.
You too. It's just not accurate. Instead, it's about a scientific understanding of how our incredible brains adapt and learn. Sometimes, yes, they adapt in ways that aren't serving us well anymore, but the brain learned it, and it can learn something new.
And that's the good news, right? The really hopeful news.
That's the really hopeful news. There are actionable, evidence-based ways to direct that change. You have the tools, you have the insights from thinkers like these, and you absolutely have the capacity to be an active, conscious participant in your own evolution.
Not just a passenger on some automatic, pre-programmed ride you didn't even sign up for.
Exactly. Your brain's neuroplasticity, its ability to change, is like this constant beacon of hope. It shows that you can consciously sculpt your mind, your habits, your responses toward the future you genuinely, deeply desire.
So as you, listening right now, reflect on everything we've dug into today, all these surprising facts, these deep insights about your own mind, here's something to really mull over. What old autopilot response, maybe one that's been running on loop for years, are you ready, truly ready, to bring out of the shadows and into the light of conscious choice?
What's the one thing?
And maybe more importantly, what new vote will you cast today, even a small one, for the person you truly wish to become? How will you align your next action with your deepest intentions for your future? Remember, the controls. They really are yours to take.